Tonight, the president gets a full fiscal as his mental fitness is being challenged by the mainstream media. The results are in. No results yet on the Russia collusion in the last election, but the president's former chief strategist gets a subpoena in that probe. North Korea media calls a Trump tweet the spasm of a lunatic, and one seemingly crazy couple keeps their 13 children locked in shackles. That shocking discovery and much more. Newsmax Now starts right now. And welcome to this Tuesday evening of Newsmax Now. We're here for 2 hours. We want you, of course, to participate. The phone lines are open and we take your phone calls. The numbers to call, 877-NEWSMAX. That is 877-639-7629. All right, it was a very busy news day after the hot national holiday yesterday. But first things first, the stock market broke records. But, you know, in true stock market fashion, it was an up and down day. Wall Street's main indices rose sharply this morning with the Dow breaking 26,000 for the first time ever. Dow made the latest 1,000-point milestone move in 7 record-setting sessions, breaking the previous record of moving up 1,000 points in 23 sessions. Just a little sense of perspective here, though. That's a 4% move, because as these numbers get higher, it gets easier to move through 1,000 because it doesn't take as great a percentage of move. But after hitting its high, a reversal came as a looming government shutdown weighed on investors. Joining me now for the full 2 hours is former Congresswoman Nan Hayworth. She is on the board of the Independent Women's Forum, and she is a licensed ophthalmologist and a physician, and joining us to talk about all the things, all that stuff and more. And joining us also in this block is the former federal prosecutor and founder of Freedom Watch, Larry Klayman. Larry, there you are. Good to see you.
Good to see you too again.
And listen, you filed an interesting lawsuit, which I want to talk to you about, but I want to tie up some unfinished business first, Larry. I'm going to just ask you a real quick question about the Bundys. Are they all tied up, finished, and done? Do the Bundys and their family and have to worry about any further harassment? And I use that term on purpose from the feds.
I don't think they're worried, Bill, because they know that justice is on their side and God is on their side. I mean, it was basically a spiritual experience that we uncovered this massive prosecutorial misconduct, which got the indictment dismissed, and you can see it at freedomwatchusa.org or ClymanBundyDefenseFund.org, more information about that. But no, they're not done, because no sooner than the indictment was dismissed, these rabid leftist environmental groups started screaming, calling the Bundys racist. Of course, everybody's racist today, you, me, everybody, anybody that you don't agree with, and then demanding that the Bureau of Land Management go in and conduct another paramilitary raid on the property. So we are fighting that. I'm in Washington this week. I'll be meeting with congressmen who want to know what went on at the Bundy Ranch, this gross abuse of due process and everything else, Second Amendment rights, First Amendment rights. I'm trying to meet with the Justice Department, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. I'm trying to have the Bundys invited to the White House by the president, because the way they were treated is exactly the way the president's currently being treated by Special Counsel Robert Mueller and others. And as importantly, we're going to be filing a complaint for declaratory relief in the state court in Nevada to have the land declared land of the people of Nevada, which means that the federal government, even though they don't have any jurisdiction to begin with, will have a court rule that they should lay off the Bundys, go back to doing things that the federal government was intended to do under our Constitution. The federal government does not have the right to own land except under certain limited circumstances, like military bases, veterans hospitals. They claim to own 85% of the land in Nevada. Now, how can you be a state if you claim to own 85% of the land and you're the federal government?
Yeah, no, you know, go ahead, man.
No, well, Larry, if, number one, how does BLM get away, or how do these environmentalists appeal to BLM on the basis of, quote, racism, unquote, to go after the Bundys yet again, number one? And number two, on what basis is the federal government claiming that 85% of the land in Nevada is under federal control?
Good question. There is no basis, but today everybody's a racist. You know, when Klayman, in effect, was acquitted with his sons last week, these environmental groups said, well, the only reason he was acquitted is because he's a white person. I mean, give me a break. And with regard to the land was only held by the federal government in trust for a short period of time. And it reverted to the states when they became states. And it's not just Nevada that has this issue, but Utah, Arizona, and the federal government even claims 38% of land in California, if you can believe that. So this is a non-starter. At the end of the Obama administration, Obama nationalized Klayman's ranch in a very vindictive act. He also nationalized large parts of Utah. And recently, President Trump denationalized large parts of Utah, and we're hoping that he'll do the same thing in Nevada. The president's been very sympathetic of the Bundys and their plights, as well as ranchers throughout the West.
Yeah, I want to move on to a couple other things, but I want to button this up with one thought. Those of you who don't live out west, and I know that a lot of our viewers do live out west, but those of you who don't live out there, you need to understand that the BLM is a gigantic, monolithic, humongous government agency that is disliked by Republicans and disliked by Democrats because of the absolute authority they claim and they exercise on the land, which is why I wanted to just go back and keep this subject alive with Larry. But now, let's go to scary things in D.C. Talk about the complaint you filed yesterday in an attempt to obtain any and all communications between the media in the special counsel's office, Robert Mueller's office. What is it you're looking for? Why did you file the complaint, Larry?
This is a very powerful case. You know, it's rare that Freedom of Information Act requests are that powerful, but this one is. Because what we're asking for is any and all communications by and between the Office of the Special Counsel, which works under the authority of the Justice Department, and the FBI with regard to the media, whether it's left-wing media, right-wing media, or middle-of-the-road media. Now, I've alleged, and there are complaints that are pending. We also filed complaints in this regard. And I hope people will go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org and sign our petition so we can source and file these complaints to have Mueller removed. But he has been leaking grand jury information. That's illegal. That's criminal to the press to harm the president, his family, and people around the president, regardless of whether the president's ever indicted or whether he sends a report to Congress to have the president impeached. It's clever and it's evil, and the intent is to destroy the Trump presidency, regardless of whether the president has committed any crimes, by leaking grand jury information. A new leak today that Steve Bannon was subpoenaed.
Yeah.
It happens virtually every day, and this is going to get the evidence to have Mueller removed. So if I can do a little advertisement here, because we need the support, go to freedomwatchusa.org, sign our petition, donate to our cause. We have to remove this guy. He's not a man of integrity before he does some real harm to this country.
Do you feel, Larry, that there is a systematic campaign? You know, they're trying to create essentially a PR campaign, whatever might be said by Steve Bannon in the presence of the special counsel, that they're creating this campaign so that they can discredit the president in the public mind?
Absolutely. I mean, here's the evil, quote, cleverness of this. Whether you have evidence to indict the president or to impeach him, let's destroy him. We don't even need to get that far. And we're going to do that by leaking grand jury information through prosecutors, part of Mueller's office, who are highly partisan, Democrat, Obama, Clinton loyalists who have given money to those campaigns, who have voted for those individuals, who have a desire and are literally foaming at the mouth with the thought that they can take out this president.
You know what? This is not on our topic list of things to talk about, Larry, but I know this has not escaped your attention. I was fascinated last week when Judge William Alsop of the Northern California District Court, ruled that President Trump could not undo an executive order by President Obama. It was a unique and distinctly interesting argument that he made, Larry, basically saying President Obama's pen is better than your pen, President Trump, so I am not letting you put an end to DACA. DOJ today announced they're going to file an appeal and ask the Supreme Court to just end the DACA program. If you haven't been following it, that's fine. You're welcome to tell me we want to move on to something else. But if you have been, Were you as fascinated by this bizarre piece of legal logic as I was?
Well, you're being very polite, Bill. You're a very polite person. I was disgusted by it and appalled by it because, you see, I had represented Sheriff Joe Arpaio in the case in Texas. We, in effect, intervened. We filed amicus briefs. I'd also filed a case in Washington, D.C. And that Texas case, ruled upon at the lower court level by Judge Hainan, went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and Obama's DACA executive order was nullified by the Supreme Court. So I don't understand how this judge, who's an ultra-leftist judge, a Clinton appointee of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, which is the most leftist in the country, could nullify a Supreme Court ruling that said that Obama's executive order allowing for DACA was illegal.
Well, Larry,
and acted lawlessly. This judge should be impeached. Well, and I'm also going to be talking to the Judiciary Committees this week about that.
Larry, I was just going to ask you, in fact, doesn't this, what Judge Alsop said or commented was that he was basing his decision on the fact that he had imputed from President Trump's campaign comments that somehow his decision on DACA was related to race. Same reasoning that the Ninth Circuit used when they were trying to overturn the travel restrictions. Doesn't it look as though it's completely untenable?
No, I mean, they're grasping at straws. They'll pull anything out of the hat, and it's not a rabbit in this case. It's probably a rat that they're pulling out of a legal rat, okay, because that is irrelevant, totally irrelevant. The judge knows that. He doesn't care. But this is a problem in our system, which I've been trying to educate the American people about for years since I started Judicial Watch and now, of course, Freedom Watch. These judges think they're above the law. They're there for life. In the old days, you could impeach someone for bad behavior. Today, you have to catch them taking money in an envelope across the desk to even have a chance to do that. And these people violate the law with impunity. And then when you file a complaint with judicial councils, which are other judges on the appeals court, ethics complaints, these other judges throw them in the trash because they protect themselves. They circle the wagons. It's a real problem. We have politicians in robes. We don't have justices or judges who do the right thing frequently. There are some good judges in this country. I've experienced about 5 in my entire 40-year career in these political cases. But the rest, frankly, and I got to be blunt, the rest are political hacks, and this guy's a hack.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to me, and I was stunned as I read his ruling. And when I was getting ready for the interview today, I thought I haven't spoken to Larry about this, but I have to ask. And as always, you have an answer, and it's forthright.
I'm so passionate, Bill, about this because the whole issue of judges, the word Judicial Watch comes from watching judges. That's how it all started back in 1994.
Exactly, and they're both great organizations. FreedomWatch.org is where you can catch up on what Larry is doing, where you can make donations if you feel so moved. Larry, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on.
Just God bless you.
God bless you. Coming up, President Trump's doctor says his health is excellent. And boy, was there a really disappointed room of journalists. We're going to talk to Newsmax White House correspondent John Gizzi next.